Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for spending this time with us. My name is Varun Jaitly. I'm a part of the product marketing team at Cloudera. And we've heard about data and AI. We will be hearing more about it over the next 48 hours. In particular, what I wanted to talk about was how trusted data actually leads to better outcomes when it comes to AI and analytics. And in particular, I also want to talk about how can you move your AI workloads into production in a much faster and secure way. But before we dive into the details about AI, Gen AI, how do I move these workloads into production, I want to talk about a few industry trends that we've been observing at Cloudera, and you've been leading as an industry as well. One thing that's been constant for the data and analytics industry is that we are forever changing. But if we were to look at the last decade or so and look at what have been the key changes, there are 4 changes that stand out quite significantly. The first one is that the amount and types of data that we interact with, that we have to manage today, that has exploded. We have more and more unstructured data. We want to make sure that images and video and audio and all kinds of unstructured data that we have collected can be put to use to improve business outcomes, to improve customer experiences. The second trend is that self-service has really taken off. We know that any time in an organization, a team, or a person spends waiting for resources to be provided is the time that's being taken away from innovation, the time that's being taken away from productivity. So self-serve tools have really taken off because of that very reason. We want to make sure that there are least amount of resistances or least amount of points of resistance that exist when it comes to using and deploying new tools. The third is around how we use infrastructure today. With this, we are talking about hybrid and multi-cloud. We want flexibility in terms of what the infrastructure can provide and is capable of. We want flexibility in economies of scale so that if it's what workload is better suited for what kind of infrastructure, and we also want flexibility in terms of how quickly we can deploy it. So with hybrid, essentially the point here is that for certain use cases or certain industries where we are dealing with very sensitive data, you might want to deploy those workloads on premises in your data center. Whereas for workloads which do not deal with that level of sensitivity, you might want to take advantage of public cloud. With multi-cloud, we also want flexibility where we can choose from any of the big cloud providers and move our workloads based on what the capabilities we are seeking or other dynamics that might be in play. And last but not the least is generative AI. Since OpenAI became public with ChatGPT, generative AI has been on everyone's mind. Every business leader, every team is exploring ways in which they can put generative AI into their business processes, whether it's for internal efficiency or whether it's to make their customer experiences better. But in the backdrop of all these trends, we are also seeing that regulations are evolving. There are regulations at a regional level, so we are in the midst of defining what the EU Data and AI Acts would look like, how would these impact how we manage data, how we deploy AI. We have regulations that focus on safety of customers, safety of their data and their privacy, and that's what GDPR has been for the past few years. And then we have industry-specific regulations like Basel IV or DORA, which cater to, in this case, the financial industry, which they have to address how they are using the data, who all have access to data, how do certain results and predictions come into being. So that we need accountability and observability on those aspects. So that's what's been happening till now. But if we look forward, in the next decade or so, there are 3 things that are likely to happen. In fact, we are seeing these evolve already. So the first out of this is we are going to see more and more smarter computing. With the examples we saw earlier, with agents, We are seeing almost a digital twin that can be created so that we are more productive. We're also seeing smarter enablers. So for tasks which are very mundane in nature, which are repetitive, we can use generative AI and other technologies to offload these tasks so that the workforce is more productive. And overall, when it comes to industries like manufacturing, pharmaceutical, we are seeing smarter productivity. One of Cloudera customers who's in the pharmaceutical industry mentioned to us that with certain AI models, they can now have up to 800,000 hypotheses for any new drug that they are discovering within hours. This is the kind of task that usually would take months and years to come up with. So essentially, with these kind of what might seem like minor changes, there are opportunities to create huge impact that could possibly change lives as well. And all of these trends that I spoke of are being adopted right now. It's not just me saying that these are the trends. We are seeing these in numbers in terms of industry reports. So when we talk about flexibility in infrastructure or we talk about hybrid cloud, 90% of enterprises today mention that they're in the process of moving to a hybrid architecture or a multi-cloud architecture. When it comes to adopting modern data architectures, where things like data mesh, data fabric, or a data lakehouse, they create a very strong foundation for how we'll collect, manage, and deploy data-based use cases. These are being adopted aggressively as well. And more than 70% of enterprises are actively looking at Gen AI or AI use cases right now. And with Gen AI, one key thing to note is that for enterprises today, it's actually fairly easy to get started, and it's very easy to start seeing value as well. This is actually from one of our customers in the banking industry who now has more than 20 AI use cases in production. But the key ones that stand out is around Copilot, where they're able to improve their software development team's productivity by 20%. The second one is around an AI-powered chatbot. I think we saw a very powerful example of what a chatbot could look like. So in the banking industry or financial services industry, it has a similar impact where there's huge cost savings, huge potential in cost savings. In this case, they were able to reduce costs by 30% when it came to their call center operations. And as a highly regulated industry in the financial services, they also deal with millions of documents, contracts that need to be summarized and stored away. So having a generative AI model actually is able to reduce the amount of human involvement in those kind of tasks by 90%. So again, savings in costs and improvement in productivity. So we've kind of heard about the trends and the impact that Gen AI could have, but what are the ways in which we can actually test these AI use cases quickly and move them to production in a safe manner? So with Cloudera, there are three ways that we talk about right now, three ways in which we enable customers to get to production AI quickly. The first one is building AI with Cloudera platform. The second is running AI in Cloudera, so there are specific services that are built in the platform. And the third one is how, when it comes to these data management platform itself, so it's the software that helps manage data, how can we use AI to make those platform itself much better? So what are the AI capabilities to use Cloudera in a better, more efficient way? So the first one is building AI with Cloudera. On the platform, we have invested in a new capability called applied machine learning prototypes or applied machine learning projects. These are more than 35 apps which are ready to deploy or AI models that are ready to deploy so that our customers don't invest crucial development cycles just starting from scratch. When I say easy to deploy or ready to deploy, it's a one-click deployment effort. It doesn't require teams to put any foundational time into developing these models. And you're able to leverage research that Cloudera is putting into place, and in addition, what the overall broader community and industry is putting into place as well. So what do I mean by that? There are three categories in which these AMPs or applied machine learning projects can be divided. The first one is the AMPs that Cloudera has developed in-house based on what we heard from customers that their crucial use cases were. The second category is AMPs that are being provided from the Hugging Face Spaces platform. So it's a marketplace essentially, and you can pick any. And the third is the community part of AMPs, where other data and analytics players or some of our customers are contributing these projects onto the marketplace as well. So if we look at some examples of Cloudera-based AMPs that have been recently announced, the first one is called Prompt Brew. And Prompt Brew is, as the name suggests, it helps you come up with better prompts for generative AI use cases. We know that for any chatbot or Gen AI kind of generator, the prompt itself is crucial. So Prompt Brew is able to approach this problem in 4 different categories. The first one is a simple standard instructional prompt where you would have an experience similar to, let's say, how we've all used ChatGPT. The second category would be a zero-shot chain of thought prompt where you want the chatbot to give you answers, but you also want it to give you reasoning behind why they came up with that answers. Because when it comes to enterprise use cases, we want the information to be reliable, and we want to understand what was the reasoning, similar to a human, why we got that result. The third category would be that in addition to reasoning, you also get reference examples or sources of information along with it. And the last bit would be where the chatbot actually takes or assumes the role of an overall expert on that topic and provides you all of the information. So the step-by-step instructions, the reference material, and sources of information. So you can select what level of detail do you want for your application based on what level of information needs to be provided to the end user. The second AMP is for fine-tuning your models. So the fine-tuning studio works with 3 main kind of capabilities. The first one is that it helps you manage all of your data sets and models in one place itself. So from a single UI, you're able to take care of all of the overheads, all of the admin tasks for the model. The second one is around monitoring the performance of each of the models that you've deployed from that single place. And the last one is that once you've fine-tuned all of your models, once the job is complete, you can push these models into production from that single UI. So we are essentially taking tens of steps that would be required by a data science team or an ML operations team and putting it into a single UI. The second category I spoke of was the community AMPs. So community AMPs is where you could find things for text to image, image to text, video generator, anything that's been developed in the overall open source community, or even it could be proprietary models as well that have been made available in the marketplace. And the last category for AMPs is the Hugging Face Spaces category. We know Hugging Face is one of the leaders when it comes to generative AI models, and the models they've developed, things like Code Llama and Mistral for developer productivity or image generation. These are available from that same marketplace as well. So the key thing to note is that more than 35 models are available. They can be easily managed, and they can be deployed in a single click from the very Cloudera platform that our customers are already familiar with. The second category for moving your workloads into production faster is running AI within Cloudera. So in this case, the first category was you have your own AI application and you're using Cloudera to improve it or build it. The second one is some of the AI capabilities that are built within the platform. So in this case, I want to talk about a new capability we recently announced and is available in tech preview, which is the Cloudera Inference Service. We've been focusing a lot on training models, but more recently, we've also acknowledged the importance of inference in the overall life cycle or the workflow when it comes to AI. So there are 3 key components to keep in mind when it comes to the inferencing data or inferencing insights out of AI models. The first one here is Cloudera Data Engineering, which is essentially helping you move data from one place to another. It's helping you run transformation jobs or loading and enrichment jobs on data, so you can transform and make it available in the right place. The second category is the Cloudera machine learning module, which has all of the capabilities that data science and ML engineers need to build and deploy models. And the third one is the actual AI inference step, where the built-in capability is helping you derive insights and decode what the model is saying in a fast and better way. Behind the scenes, what does the AI inference service actually looks like? So there are performance optimizations that are baked in. So we've worked closely with NVIDIA to come up with this, where when it comes to inferences that are being powered by a CPU-based server, you can see performance improvements of more than 3x. And when it comes to performance improvements for GPU-based clusters, we are talking about improvement as high as more than 36x. It also takes advantage of proprietary NVIDIA models that are available. So these could be the NeMo model or some of the other fine-tuned, use case-focused open source models. As with any data service with Cloudera, because it's enterprise grade, it comes with high availability and scalability as a feature. And you get admin stuff like real-time monitoring of all of the jobs, deploying it on any infrastructure, whether it's hybrid or multi, and all of the security, audit, and governance features that are part of the platform already. Okay, so the last category here is, we are talking about all of this AI and Gen AI, but then we thought that we can actually use some of these Gen AI models and improve how data management teams use Cloudera, or how people who have access to Cloudera, they can actually use it in a better way and more powerful way. So when it came to infusing AI within the Cloudera platform, we've announced 3 different capabilities that help different types of teams within your organizations. The first one I want to talk about is the SQL AI assistant. As we know, SQL is the leading or still the most popular language when it comes to interacting with data. But not everybody in an organization is familiar with SQL or do not feel comfortable using SQL. So what SQL AI Assistant does is, it helps people who do not know SQL write prompts in natural language, and the AI assistant would transform it into SQL queries. It can also help people who have basic knowledge of SQL improve their SQL skills. So it can edit, it can suggest how to make those prompts easier. So it's allowing more and more people to interact with data in an organization who otherwise might have been barred because they did not have the skill. The second category of these AI assistants is the AI chatbot within the Cloudera data visualization module. So we all know that we come across dashboards and weekly and monthly reports. A lot of these dashboards tend to be somewhat static in nature. They were built in a certain way, and they provide that data in that similar way. So there are 2 steps to this. One is building of the dashboard. So you can now build the dashboard easily. And the second one is, let's say if I'm a fashion retailer and I have a dashboard of weekly sales, I probably just have weekly sales of each of the category. But with a chatbot assistant, I can now query that tell me the sales of a particular shoe or a particular shirt on a particular day between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So you're interacting with data, you're interacting with dashboards based on data that's not visually available to easily get to these answers quickly instead of raising a ticket and then the data ops team helping you answer those questions. And the last category of these AI assistants is the Cloudera machine learning copilot. So we've developed or we've deployed a copilot within the Cloudera machine learning space, which is specifically now helping data scientists and ML engineers fine-tune their models, manage their models in an easier way. So when it comes to trust, when it comes to making all of these AI capabilities, move them to production faster, the thing I want to leave you with, or some of the things I want to mention here, is that there are 3 questions to keep in mind. The first one is around privacy. So essentially, all organizations need to ask that can they trust their proprietary data and can they actually deploy it in public cloud or use public services around it? You've invested a lot of infrastructure and money in collecting this data, so you need to make sure that when it comes to using it with public cloud services, it's available, it's going to be safe. The second one is around readiness. So let's say the data can be moved around, but is the data of high quality enough that it will generate good results? And the third one is around reliability of the AI model itself. So if I move my trustworthy data into this model, is the model good enough that the results that my customers see are going to maintain my brand image, will be helpful for them, and so on? So at Cloudera, we do this with a hybrid cloud platform for data and analytics. It's meant for, I guess I'm out of time, but yeah, just stick with me. So we kind of deal with all modern data architectures, so data fabric, mesh, and lakehouse. You can deploy it on premises or any of the clouds. The workloads available are for the entire life cycle. And my time is up. Thank you so
sorry,
much.
Varun.
No,
Thank you
of course,
so
that's fine.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks.